Nearly 200,000 completed mail-in ballots were smuggled from New York before they inexplicably disappeared. Those are the charges of Jesse Morgan, a truck driver. He's a subcontractor working for the U.S. Postal Service, and he joins us here tonight. Jesse Morgan, who has signed a sworn affidavit charging that those hundreds of thousands of ballots were taken across state lines. Jesse, I want to say, first of all, I commend your courage for standing up and speaking truth. I know that it's got to be tremendously difficult for you, and I admire your strength in so doing and your concern for your fellow citizens who depend on an electoral process of integrity. Good to have you on the broadcast. I want to start, if I may, with how it happened that you were picking up these boxes filled with ballots.
How did it happen? Is that what you asked, Lou?
Yes, sir.
All right. First, I just want to say thanks for having me on your show. Greatly appreciate it. How it all happened was that just one day I went in. Normal process. I walked up, gave my slip to the expediter. She was going to go cut off the seal, and as she was doing so, she made a comment that I'm going to be taking mail and ballots back. And I was like, oh, I said, that's pretty cool. I'm like, cool. And then I went back, and then she made the comment again about taking the mail and ballots back. And I said, okay. And then I went to my trailer, watched them unload, and then they brought up the gaylords, and they had the ballots in it, and I watched them be loaded onto the trailer.
Those are boxes containing what turned out to be ballots, gaylords.
Yeah, so they had the gaylords, and then inside each gaylord was like a tote, was totes, and they were stacked on top of each other, and then each tote had envelopes with the ballots in it. And then as they were bringing them in, some of the ballots like kind of came out of how they had them stacked in there, and you could see them laid on top. I wasn't looking for addresses. To be honest, I thought I was doing something to help out the presidential election. That's how it came across. I'm like, oh, sweet, this is awesome. Like, cool.
Absolutely.
Like, doing something to help out here.
Well, you are helping out probably in ways in which a lot of people never expected. The boxes, you saw that they were ballots. Did you see all of the boxes and their contents? Did you see that they were, in fact, filled out?
Yes, sir. I saw them all loaded. Now look, this is how it is like I couldn't see every single ballot, okay? I wasn't even really paying attention to it. What I saw was how they had them in the totes, okay? And then as the pallets were being, or the gaylords were being bumped around, the totes were being bumped around, some of the envelopes kind of came out of how they had them lined in there, and they're laying on top.
Right.
Now, I've probably seen, say, 5 or 6 in the one pallet. Then 3 pallets later, there might be 20 of them that I saw. Then 10 pallets down, there's 20 more. Like all the way up till they put the last box in.
And
if you get what I'm saying.
At this point, I do get what you're saying, and I'm sitting here thinking about the time we've got here. I'm going to ask if you would to stay with us through this commercial break as we continue your journey from New York to Pennsylvania and what happened to that trailer load of ballots. Can you do that, Jesse?
Absolutely, sir.
Appreciate it. We'll be right back with Jesse and his story and more on the legal advances for the president's legal team. We'll be right back. We're back now with whistleblower Jesse Morgan, a U.S. Postal Service subcontractor who drove completed election ballots in boxes from New York to Pennsylvania. Jesse, I want to turn to the route that you took, and if we could put up that map going from Bethpage, New York, to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which was to be your destination. But when you got to Harrisburg, they wouldn't check you in. They wouldn't give you a slip for delivery, and instead they directed you to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That is correct. It was absolutely. I've been hauling mail now for about 16 months, and 16 months I have never had this happen to me before. I was made to wait in the yard, and I sat there and I waited roughly like about 6 hours until I went in, and I was like, "What's going on here, guys? Like, what's the holdup? You know, like I was pretty upset, and my brother just moved up from Texas, and I wanted to go hang out with him, and
right.
Finally they couldn't give me an answer, and then finally like a transportation supervisor came down and told me to basically leave and take the load to Lancaster, which I've never talked to that man, never talked to a transportation supervisor the whole time I've been doing this. I've strictly dealt with the expediters. They're the ones that I would see when I came in, I checked in, and they're the ones I checked out with. And he told me to leave to go to Lancaster.
Now, this is the night of the 21st of October, 2 weeks before the election. You're carrying 24 boxes.
Yes.
Tens of thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands of completed ballots by all appearances. You get to now Lancaster. Did you ever get the paperwork, the proper paperwork for running that delivery?
No, and that's the thing, is that once again, I never leave a place without paperwork, and the man refused to give me this paperwork. He refused to get me the slips, and his reasoning was I'm not getting unloaded there. And and then I said, well, let me get a late slip at least, so that way people know that I've been here. And he refused to give me that too.
So I've got to ask you this: 2 weeks, you've stepped forward. Were you treated differently? Did anything change as a subcontractor to the U.S. Postal Service? I want to know if you've been threatened as well.
Let's just say this, Lou, that there's been a lot of things that have happened to me leading up to yesterday since I've come out. There's a lot of things that we aren't talking about that I've been told to kind of be quiet on, just for investigation.
Right. Well, you have excellent legal counsel. And I want to say again to you, Jesse, thank you so much.
Can I say one thing?
What you've done is very brave. Yes, sir, you may.
I just want to say, like, if there's anyone else out there that's been in the same shoes that I have, don't be afraid to come out. They're just intimidating you. Don't be scared to come out. And I will say, Lou, going through this whole experience, I will say that this whole system is really corrupt. It is really corrupt, and I'll put that right out there. And I challenge everyone, law enforcement, the congressmen. I challenge people to do something different. Do something different for your country. Stand up for your country.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, Lou.
Jesse,
you have a good night.
Patriot. You too. Thank you.